Greetings builders! Daniel here, and Crucible is only a few hours away from us. I'm pretty sure that just like me, you guys can hardly wait for it. But don't worry, until there I'm bringing 12 awesome starter builds for you to finally decide your Crucible character. Those 12 builds will come in 4 videos today, and all of them will be released before the league launches. Don't forget to check the video description for the PoE and complete guide of all those builds. Let's start this video with a build adored by many, the Sparking Pistol with the Templar class. Spark is an erratic lightning skill that runs on the floor, killing any living thing that has the misfortune of crossing its way. To list the pros of this build, I would start with how easy and simple it is to play it. You don't need to aim or anything, just cast the Spark and they will run on their own and get the job done. This build also needs only one mandatory unique item and counts with great boss damage and survivability. Now to list the cons, I would point that the clear speed is not very smooth because you end up having to cast Spark many times. It's almost like a Raging Spirits build. Another issue would be the lack of evasion and spell suppression, but don't worry, we have many other defensive layers here. As for budget, I can only estimate it for now, but normally you can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 85 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps you need to invest around 120 chaos, and for easily completing your Atlas I recommend investing around 4 divines, but you can totally do it with less. Don't forget that on PoEbuilds.net you can find a list with all the equipment you need to buy for this build, with direct links with examples being sold from other players. You need only one mandatory unique item for this build, the Call of the Brotherhood ring that converts 40% of lightning damage into cold damage. This is great because it frees enemies for more survivability, and we also use Herald of Ice for more clear speed. For clear speed I'll give it 8 out of 10. Spark projectiles have a long duration and pierce enemies, so after you cast them they go through a long distance, killing many of them. But since you can't control their path, you end up having to cast many times, and that might slow you down a little. The boss damage is great and deserves 9 out of 10, especially when you find yourself in a closed arena where the spark projectiles can hit the target many times. For the survivability I'll give it 9 out of 10. This build comes with an amazing regeneration, healed life plus energy shield pool, high armor and block chance. This can even be better if you invest a few chaos orbs buying a replica Soul Terror belt for the corrupted soul. Now let's take a look on that build that I can't believe survived the nerf hammer. I'm talking about the Venom Gyre Deadeye with the Ranger class. Venom Gyre is a very interesting skill which fires a projectile that hits enemies and returns to you, piercing and dealing damage to everything on its path. When the projectile successfully returns to you, you can keep and stack them up to 30 times, and they will be released at once when you use the Whirling Blades movement skill. To list the pros of this build I would not even know where to start. It comes with an amazing clear speed, boss damage and over 100,000 effective HP. Above all of that, it's cheap and easy to put together. It doesn't require any mandatory unique item. Now to list the cons is the real challenge here. It's hard to find something not to like on this build. However, I would say that as most builds, this one is also vulnerable to chaos damage, unless of course you invest on chaos resistance gear. As for budget, based on previous leaks, this build is very cheap. You can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 90 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps you need to invest around 120 chaos, and for easily completing your Atlas I recommend investing around 4 divines. For clear speed I'll give this build 10 out of 10. The Venom Gyre projectile already has an expensive nature for the amount of time it stays dealing damage on screen. Now, with a Deadeye that grants a lot of speed and many buffs to projectiles, the result is what you're seeing on this tier 16 gameplay. The boss damage is also a 10 out of 10. You can use Venom Gyre to instantly have 50 stack projectiles and delete bosses with an amazing shotgun effect using Whirling Blades on them. It's just unreal and I can't believe it wasn't nerfed. For the survivability I give it 9 out of 10. This build comes with over 100,000 effective HP because of high armor, high evasion, spell suppression and block chance. Finally, we have my favorite starter build of all time, the Arc Totems Hierophant with the Templar class. On this build we use many totems that cast the Arc skill for a fast and safe clear speed. Listing the pros of this build, I would start with how cheap and easy it is to complete your Atlas using this building. With almost no investment, you have a powerful, safe and fast character that will be the perfect currency farmer for this and future builds. Now to list the cons, this build doesn't have access to evasion or spell suppression, but don't worry, Totem builds are very safe to play. Another issue is that some players might find this gameplay to be a little tedious and too easy, but as you know, this is just a matter of taste. As for budget, I can only estimate it for now based on previous prices, but Arc Totems used to be one of the cheapest builds in existence. You can get it destroying early in-game maps with only around 35 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, you need to invest around 90 chaos, and for easily completing your Atlas, I recommend investing around 3 divides, but you can totally do it with less. This build needs 3 mandatory unique items, but they are normally very cheap and easy to get. The first one is the Soul Mantle Armor, that causes Sakata Gems to be supported by a level 20 spell totem. This grants us an extra support skill gem. We also need a Kikazaru Ring to counter the effect of curses. This is because a side effect of Soul Mantle that will apply a random curse on you whenever a totem dies. Finally, we also need the Self-Flagellation Jewel that grants up to 20% increased damage for each curse on you. Thanks to Soul Mantle, you'll be always with around 9 curses, resulting on 180% increased damage. For clear speed, this build gets 9 out of 10. Arc is an awesome skill that chains through many enemies and easily clear big packs. This build counts with 4 totems casting this amazing skill. The boss damage deserves 9 out of 10. With the right debuffs and all 4 totems summoned, this build can take even big bosses down without any issue. For the survivability, I would also give it 9 out of 10. As a totem build, you'll always be far from action while your totems do all the work. So, if you know how to mind your position, you can easily complete high tier maps with low grade gear. Above all, this build still counts with high armor and high block chance. And that concludes the first part of our 12 starter builds for Crucible. Stay tuned that the next video is coming in less than an hour, and of course, depending on the time you're watching, the next part might have already been released. In that case, you can just get the links in the video description. I'll see you soon, and don't forget to keep building.